What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, back again with another video for you guys. And look, the transfer news has been moving thick and fast in the last, 12 hours, I should say. And we brought you the news earlier that this move for Timo Werner was set to be completed, was advancing very quickly. But now, as of 5:30, the deal has really set to come to a conclusion. We'll get into that very, very soon. I just want to introduce Brains McLeod is with us today to discuss this prospective move for Timo Werner. How are we doing, Brains?
Another quiet day in Spurs paradise.
Never, ever quiet when it comes to Tottenham, especially in the transfer window, isn't it?
It's really been insane since the moment I opened my eyes today. It's just been what?
Yeah. It's like, it's just gone, what? To what? What? I couldn't quite believe it.
Like, what have I woken up to? I'm like, I know.
Can't quite believe it, but let's get into all the latest updates on the Timo Werner transfer. David Ornstein now reporting that Tottenham have reached total agreement with RB Leipzig to sign Timo Werner, 27-year-old on loan until the summer. Option to buy believed to be in the region of 15 to 20 million euro. Medical as soon as possible. Fabrizio Romano has given the here we go. He says Tottenham will cover 100% of Werner's salary until June as part of the agreement with Leipzig. Medical test booked. He's due to travel this weekend in order to be ready for training next week. He is quoted as saying he can't wait to work under Ange Postecoglou. Florian Plettenberg has said that Tottenham's option to buy Timo Werner is in the range of 17 to 18 million euro. And he also says that the loan to Tottenham until June includes a purchase option between 17 to 18 million. Spurs will cover all the wages of Werner and they will pay a 5 million euro fee for the loan deal. No signature yet, no poker dynamic negotiations in the last 24 to 36 hours. Leipzig paid a fixed fee of 19.5 million euro to Chelsea a year and a half ago. So obviously the option to buy is just under that, about between 17 and 18 million euro. Now, Brains, this prospective deal has obviously come out of nowhere. It's taken the whole Tottenham fan base by complete surprise and shock. But for you, when hearing this deal and looking at it, it's pretty much done now and looks like he's going to be unveiled next week and could even be in the squad for Man United. What do you feel like you add to our attack, and are you excited about this deal?
I think with all Spurs news that comes in, I think you have to take a little bit of a moment and then a step back, because you can be reactive and go, wait a minute, we without Sonny are failing to finish our chances. And here's a guy who had a season where he became really famous for missing unbelievable sitters. But the thing that you probably miss out in the consistency of his entire career is that he breaks the line with incredible pace. He will bring so much to this Ange system. I actually think Ange and him is a bit of a match made in heaven. I just think he probably will want to right the wrongs of that season. But still, if you look through the stats of his time at Chelsea, he didn't do that bad. I mean, he had 43 goal involvements in 89 games. I mean, it's
in all competitions, yeah. In the Premier League, he did a bit worse. It was 56 games, 10 goals, 13 assists. So 23 goal contributions in 56, which isn't horrific, but not amazing either. Yeah.
You can see it was the first time he missed a real easy chance. You could see it got in his head. He wanted to please so much. But the interesting thing, I think, is as soon as I started to ask friends, my Chelsea mates who are friends, you won't. I kind of built it up you won't believe who we just signed, and I expected to get a whole, oh my god, what are you guys doing? But I didn't get that. I got, oh, he's a good signing. That's a good signing for you guys. It was they were also saying, I take him right now over Mudryk. So I actually think it says something when a fan base actually like a guy, when all we remember is the misses, but actually most of what they remember time after time was his work rate and that he would break that line, that he would get in behind. And with a team like us, the way we want to play, I think that could really work for us.
Yeah, 100%. I remember when Chelsea signed him back in 2020. I was a massive fan of his, and I was super jealous when Chelsea did get him because I thought he was set to explode in the Premier League. I thought he was a star in the making. Obviously, he smashed it out for RB Leipzig. For about 4 years in a row, he was getting about over between 20 and 30 goal contributions. I think the season before Chelsea signed him, he scored 28 Bundesliga league goals in that season, and he was absolute dynamite. He had unbelievable pace. He was frightening the life out of defenses, and then he did join Chelsea. And for one reason or another, he just never got going either under Lampard or Thomas Tuchel. Although he did have his moments, he never really. I don't know. Maybe he never really recovered from those heavy misses early on, and it really affected his confidence. How many times have we seen it though with players at Chelsea go there and their confidence get knocked, and they never seem to recover? We've seen it with countless strikers, haven't we? There seems to be a bit of a curse with Chelsea when it comes to that. In terms of how he's going to fit in at Tottenham, I'm looking at his overall stats over his career. He's made about 400 appearances. 292 of those appearances have been as a centre forward. About 74 have been as a left winger, 25 as a right winger. So he has played across the front line throughout his career. But majority, I think majority have been, as a central striker. I personally think that's where his best football has been. For us, though, where do you see him getting most of his minutes? Do you see it being on out wide, or do you see it being up front?
It depends. If Sonny is here, I think you could rotate them, every now and then. I just like what Sonny's done through the centre, even though he has been all right on the left. But I like Werner coming in. I like Werner kind of breaking the line and then cutting back. I also think he's someone who's got the pace to get to the line and do little cutbacks as well, which perfectly fits us. So I think it's more about, when we're talking about striker and winger and all this kind of stuff, I don't know if Ange really sees it like that, because I don't think he sees it like we're going to be, play those balls through the line. I think he's talking about like all these dynamic paths towards the goal, and he just wants players to be able to work together. So I think it's like getting the system. You see, when it works best, it's like fast movement, boom, 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 and then kind of really goals should kind of become easy, And we think that we are not scoring a lot of goals, but if you look at the actual amount of goals we have scored, we have scored goals, and actually we're not really firing. So I think if you do bring someone like him in and he breaks the line and we're getting easier chances, and then everyone just gets more confidence. So I think it is the kind of player who could knock on and escalate the confidence of other players around him. That's kind of what I see the upstroke of it. But just from terms of like, I'm looking at it going, look at the terms of the deal. It doesn't. I see there being more upside than downside. It's 6 months. If it's a complete disaster, if he's missing sitters, we're going, okay, look, and then he goes back. But if he is adding that pace, and we're starting to see, I don't think Ange has seen exactly what he wants to see from his front line. And so I think this is a case of like, let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can bring players in to get exactly what he wants. And if he does, then it's just too many positives from it. I don't think we're risking that much. It's a small fee. It's taking up his wages. If it works, bang, we've got a great player. We've reignited a player who was one of the best in Europe for a little while,
Yeah, he was. He was absolutely dynamite when Chelsea decided to part with about £50 million back in 2020. But it has gone seriously wrong. Even when he's gone back to Leipzig, hasn't seemed to be able to recapture his form, which is probably the most concerning part of this deal, is the fact even though he's gone back to Leipzig from that Chelsea disaster, he's still suffering from that lack of confidence. But who better than someone like Postecoglou to try and get him back into form? One of the things that really excites me about this deal, though, obviously, there's all these questions. Where is he going to play? Left, centre? What really excites me is the potential of when we get Son back in the team. If you got him, Son and Johnson in the forward line, like how effective and how dynamic that pressing is going to be. And I think all of a sudden, like, I don't think our pressing's been bad this season, but I don't think it's maybe been where Ange would like it in terms of being able to like consistently nick the ball in the final third from the opposition defenders. And you have that kind of pace in the front line, it's going to cause absolute chaos for opposition defenses, where they're going to have to be rushing to get their passes off and clearances. They're not going to have any time on the ball, and that does genuinely excite me about how much it's going to improve our ability to press the opposition.
Yeah, and I don't think Ange again looks at players in their like kind of momentary form, because I think he thinks when you get someone in the right state of mind, that it escalates and knocks on, and then you get the best out of a player. Like you'll see, like when we were all going, "Oh, what's Richarlison doing?" He's like, "No, but I can see the work rate." you know. So he kind of believes in like building on the blocks of the potential of a player. Same with Johnson. You know, we're seeing like kind of it in bits, but he believes that once that kind of triggers the confidence, it goes. So I think you're right. I think it's completely dynamic, but it is in his system. It's as much about what players do off the ball as when they're on the ball. And I think we do see it. Like a lot of teams are trying to play out the back, and we seem to be like one of the best teams at like closing that distance, closing the triangles. And actually, we've scored a lot of goals that way of putting the foot in, especially with players like Bentancur, who might play in a 6, but look how high up he is. Same with Basuma. They might play in 6, but look how high. They press up high. Doji, you know, so we want that squeeze to happen, close out the lanes, and then the two kind of inverted fullbacks come inside as 8s, and then you got Basuma through. So there's just basically no way out. But I think it only really works when everyone in the front line has pace to cover the distance, you know?
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. And I think that's what's really exciting. I do wonder what a front three of those three would look like against maybe like teams who do sit in a low block and try and restrict us of the space. It might struggle in those incidences. But you think about teams like, you know, Man City or Liverpool or better teams who, you know, who commit risk to the game, or a Brighton, and then you have that kind of pace in the front line. It's going to cause a lot of teams a lot of problems, I think, especially how if we can get the likes of Maddison back in while he's there as well, and you got Porro there, like players who can make very quick passes in behind, very accurate passes as well. Like having someone like Timo Werner running onto those passes is only going to cause problems for opposition defenses.
That's a very good point. That's actually one of the best points I've heard about this, because what you're seeing, what we do a lot, we all kind of, you know, one of those moments where you jump up your seat is that diagonal through the lane to the, you know, like breaking the lane that way, rather than just, I mean, it's only really Pedro Porro or someone like that who puts balls over the top perfectly into the running on striker. We're breaking the lane that way, but we then need players. But how many times have you seen it where the kind of a guy gets back or it breaks down? We need players to be running in a diagonal, take the ball in and go diagonally towards goal, so it's just a tap to the side for a finish. I think that's the way that Ange wants to play it, but you need speed for that. You need players who are constantly thinking. I think you can see it. I saw a lot of it actually last night from Johnson, and also the assists that Johnson got before. They're the balls through the lane down the wing, so it's one touch in. And I think the other side, I think Werner can do that. I think Sonny can do that. But you also need the guy in the centre to be fast at getting the little tap-ins, you know? So I think that could be lightning. Honestly, I think that could be, I've got hope for that being the lineup we go up front with is Timo Werner or Sonny, you know, rotating them centre or out wide, and then Johnson the other side.
Yeah, and he gives us more versatility as well because he can play across the front line. It just gives us more options in each position, which is really positive. If we're looking at it, obviously we've looked focus on the positive so far. If we are looking about maybe some reservations about this kind of deal, obviously he is a player who's woefully out of form now for a number of years, it's fair to say. Not just that, in terms of just the profile in general of this player, in terms of if you're looking for a profile out wide, is he a massive improvement on what we have? He's not. I don't think he's a player who's amazingly great in like one-on-one dribbling situations, taking on his man like when he's got the ball to feet. He does go direct and he is very quick, obviously, but I don't see him as a player who's got that little bit of trickery to beat a player. He relies on his pace a lot, obviously, and sometimes that's enough, but a lot of the times it isn't. If you're playing him up front, obviously he's very profligate in front of goal. You could argue we already have a striker in the number 9 who's quite profligate in front of goal. So, like, if you were, regardless of whether, you know, January's a tough market and, you know, it's hard to get players in, and I get all of that. If you're purely looking at the profile of Werner right now, is he the kind of player we need to add in our front line, or are we just kind of hoping more than anything that he could turn into something?
There's a bit of hope, but I think in a January window, I think you require a little bit of that. You know what I mean? Even when we're looking at players like Pedro Porro killing it in another league, we don't know what's going to happen. And then he come and it looks like, oh no, we made it. You know, you need a little bit of belief in a player. And I think you have to look at the assets that the player can bring. We are talking about someone who had a big name. And yeah, we've seen it kind of, he's fallen off. But that for me also thinks that he must have I think it's quite charming of him to want to come back to this market and this game and show people. But yeah, of course, there's worries because what if he can't? You know, you can let the negative side of it drive you wild. Yeah, you're right. He hasn't. We would kill for a player who's dribbly and wants to get to that lane, and you know. But I don't know. Sometimes players like that, they don't have really the right attitude when they're full of all the talent in the world. They don't really play for each other. I think he's a player who does the kind of stuff that I love, where he floats, plays kind of possum, and then bang, he's in behind. I love that as a winger. I love that as a direct forward as well. So I'm hoping that, but I just think for what we're paying, and for it's a 6 months loan. It's how much are we really losing if it doesn't work out, considering that in the January market, you're not going to go and get your marquee guy. You're just not going to get him. Like, who's available of a big name? Are you going to really drop 70, 80 for, a striker that's big? I don't even know if Spurs will be looking to do that. Looking to go out in the market, a big dominant striker. I think we're looking to recover someone who's maybe got something to prove, or get someone who's young and that can become something big.
Yeah, and what's also interesting about this perspective deal about him personally is that the Euros is his summer. And obviously he's been completely out of favour this season for Leipzig. But Marco Rose, the manager, was giving an interview today after the Leipzig game, and he was saying how the plan for him is, look, he needs to go on loan because he needs the minutes, and he's really determined to make that Germany squad in the summer for the Euros. And that could really be a spark for him. A new environment, a very attacking team where he knows he's going to get chances, a complete mental refresh in an environment as well where Tottenham, where everyone right now is a bit of a family feel, everyone's together. Hopefully we can really bring him into our kind of family group and make him feel loved and make him feel like the player he was, 5-6 years ago, and give it his best shot to really try and make that Germany squad. And I'm sure he's going to come here, completely give it his all. And if he goes on a run, he'll give him that confidence. Hopefully, he feels like a confidence player. If he comes in, maybe gets a goal in his debut, you feel that confidence flow through him, and then all of a sudden things might start to flow for him. So I think the fact the Euros are coming up this summer as well adds that extra motivation for him as well to come here and just prove a point, I think.
Yeah, he's got the incentive. I think before Ange even came, we were talking about he likes to work with players who have something to prove, and Timo Werner's got that in spades. You can tell that he wants to make amends for his time at Chelsea. I remember a time where Havertz and Werner were two of the biggest names in European football. So it's the fact that he's fallen off so much. We've got a big tournament coming up, on the world scene. I think he wants to get back in there. It'd be amazing if he could do it us. What do we lose if he doesn't? If he doesn't, we've got other players,
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, what if you had money on it? Would you say we end up taking up that permanent option in the summer, or what do you reckon? It's very early to say. Obviously, it depends on so many factors, but it's a big call whether we do, because not just because of the money. Obviously, I don't think the money is negligible, but I don't know if I like him, but is he truly what we need, or is he just a stopgap for the next 6 months? I'm undecided yet. I guess we'll have to wait and see how he performs on the pitch.
Yeah, it kind of looks like that. But if you're going on potential, if he has a good little, next 6 months, then you've got a player of his potential for what? What's the deal? 15 to 20 mil?
You're 17 million euro. Yeah, about 15 million pounds. That's cheap.
That's a savvy buy, considering you're not risking too much right now. So I think it's a perfect world. It's I think you have to look at the potential. You have to look at the times. You don't sit there and look through all the misses on YouTube. Just look at the potential. Look at the goals he used to score. When this guy, you can see 100% proven in his career, unless things like injuries and stuff block him, you can see this guy is a killer striker. Like, he's got that killer instinct. If we get him back in that streak of confidence, then it's an incredible buy.
Yeah, completely agree. Well, look, Brains, appreciate your time as always, mate. Thank you for coming on and giving your thoughts on the prospective Timo Werner transfer. Let me know in the comment section below. Are you excited about this deal? Do you think it's a fantastic piece of business from Spurs, or do you think it's a waste of time and it's going to be a disaster? I want to know all your opinions in the comment section below. But that's all we got time for today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.